So as we begin to meditate, one of the first things we encounter is what's often referred to as the monkey mind. This tendency of our mind to jump from one branch to another, to grasp for this banana, to push that away, this constant chatter of our minds. And as we familiarize with it, we see that what the monkey mind is fundamentally doing is that it's judging. So what the judgments typically have in common is that they are polarized. It's either black or white. We classify into likes and dislikes, good and bad, agreeable, disagreeable. I want this, I don't want this. And so we tend to miss the entire nuance. I can't really control my mind, my thoughts. I don't think meditation is for me. I feel really distracted. This is a terrible meditation sitting. I feel so present right now. I think I'm getting the hang of this. I'm terribly bored. I wonder when the bell is going to ring. There's a tremendous sense of peace. How can I make this feeling stay? How can I hold on to it? All of this becomes quite clear as we're sitting on the meditation cushion alone with our minds, but soon we begin to realize that this process of judging actually goes on all the time in our lives. You know, from the moment we wake up in the morning, like, oh, it's just Tuesday, I hate Tuesdays, or I wish it was Saturday, I wish I could sleep for another hour. These small judgments, like, you know, the brand of yogurt that your partner is buying even though you don't like it, to the more serious ones where we actually judge other people on a very shady foundations. You know, he's from that political affiliation. He has those types of beliefs. He belongs to that group. He's from that religion. And, you know, we see this playing out on an individual level and a collective level. And we see how, as these judgments play out, the tremendous amount of suffering that it can cause in the world and in our lives. And so the attitude of non-judging is not about stopping these judgments, because it's almost like our mind secretes judgments like our stomach secretes enzymes. You know, it's a natural process. We can't really stop it. And it's also not about, you know, just throwing our hands up and saying that I'm not going to judge anything. I'm not going to have any preference. I'm not going to have any direction. Anything's fine. This is not what the attitude is about, but it's more about becoming aware of the judgments. And so you might ask, why do we want to start observing our judgments? And well, as always, anything that is outside of our consciousness is also outside of our control. So that's the first thing. If I have a stream of subconscious judging going on, those judgments are going to control my behavior. So the problem is that we confuse our judgments with the actual situation. Oftentimes I don't see that other person or that thing or that situation as they are, but I see them through this lens of judging. So let's say, for example, I might have done something that I regret. I did something that goes against my principles, and I start judging myself. And then I might add even layers of judging. I judge myself with judging and so on, and this can easily become imprisoning. It can become a vicious cycle. So not only do I feel hurt or pain, but I start judging myself for that pain. And so this is what's referred to as the second arrow, which we talked about elsewhere. So instead of just observing that, okay, I did this, or this was bad, this was a bad thing to do, this feels bad, it suddenly becomes, I am bad. You know, it becomes our identity, in which we start telling stories about ourselves, how we can never be trusted, how we always let ourselves down or let someone else down, or how we never can finish what we're starting, or whatever the storyline might be. And so the invitation with non-judging, again, is to differentiate between this first arrow and the second arrow, this situation that's happening and the stories we add on to that situation. And so that once we encounter this painful situation, we don't go into this vicious cycles. We can actually interrupt that reactivity and that chain reaction that tends to get triggered. So in the analogy, we get hit by the first arrow, we step aside, and we watch the second arrow fly by. Another thing that this non-judging attitude does is it provides an opportunity for insight and personal growth, because we get underneath the surface of the judging. So if I, for example, I get triggered by another person, there's something I start judging that person. It's almost like that person then is holding up a mirror, because oftentimes what happens is that I have something in myself that I don't like or that I'm judging, and I project it onto that other person. So this can really be an opportunity for insight into our own process of judging and how we relate to the world. So it can be a type of shadow work, if you will, a type of personal growth that can come from embodying this attitude. So to summarize, what we're talking about here is the capacity to take the role as the witness, because the witnessing part of ourselves doesn't judge. It's almost like being able to step back and watch this drama play out with a sense of curiosity, without reactivity. And we're also practicing the capacity of clear discernment. So we have these two aspects that actually correspond to the two wings of mindfulness, if you remember, where on the one hand we have this insight, this clear seeing into the nature of reality, this discernment. And on the other hand, we have the wing of acceptance, of compassionate attitudes, and actually this non-reactivity. So to the extent that we can take this role as the witness and watch our judgments without reacting, we actually gain sovereignty in our lives. We become less reactive, and this actually affords a real sense of freedom in our lives.